Right, over the ditch, back for another week. And Matty Markham, hello to you.
Hello, Paul. How are we?
Very, very well. You're looking a bit like a Dickie knee at the minute, mate. You're sitting down a little bit, but that's okay. We'll leave it at that.
I just had the chair lean back. Sorry, I'll sit up.
No, you can do whatever you like.
Make myself look a bit more presentable.
That's what this show is. This show is brought to you by NZB, who have their weanling sale May 23rd. Make sure you get in touch with the team at nzbstandardbreds.co.nz. Thursday, May the 23rd, they will be selling, I think it's 106... There were 104, 106 weanlings and 2 yearlings as well. And I'm going to be there. And we'll just say, and then, Matty, I'm not sure about next week's show. It might come live from Karaka Tuesday. Might be part of On Loose Lines on Wednesday. I'm not sure, but I'll work that one out when I get there. But big couple of weeks in harness racing.
Yeah, massive couple of weeks. Obviously, both last week and even further back another week, and then you lead into another Group 1 night of racing where we see plenty of the stars stepping out again at Alexandra Park again this week, and another seriously good undercard at Addington Raceway as well with some feature racing there.
I want the Australians to be aware of that. We're going to touch base on it. We'll leave down south. We're going to get Jonny Turner on at the end of the show too. So Jonny Turner lovers, hang around to the end of the show because Johnny's going to be coming on. He had a winner as an owner, driven by Johnny Cox, which caused myself and Matty a little bit of confusion just there before in our conversation. And he'll discuss both Invercargill coming up and also Winton last weekend. So get a bit of down south footage going on there. But these double headers, I was talking to a couple of people last night, things that have been changing up in New Zealand, there's things changing up here in Australia. It is exciting, but these Friday night double header meetings are just outstanding if you're a New Zealand harness racing lover, aren't they?
They are, if you're not someone that's readily available to be able to go to the track on a Friday night, you can sit back and you've got wall-to-wall coverage from, the 2 premier venues in the country, races every 15 to 20 minutes effectively, and at the moment they're fantastic cards because we've obviously got feature racing in both islands, which really boosts things up and makes it more appealing to the person sitting at home. And even once we get down into the quieter times and we keep these double headers rolling, we're still going to have good fields, and that's the way it should be. Friday night's our prime product night. You want the best horses and the best drivers and the best trainers all engaged to build that punter confidence. So hopefully it just builds and builds as we go on. Yeah,
and I know Cambridge look like racing every Tuesday. There's talks over here, change of our calendar. Bendigo will be racing Tuesday. I'm pretty excited about that, about it being Bendigo. Might be able to sort of overlap the 2 meetings as well and build from it. Lots happening in the world of harness racing. It's some people don't like change. Other people embrace change, but there is plenty happening, and it's exciting to see, I think.
Yeah, well, look, you've got to evolve. The thoroughbred game is going at a rapid pace, and it's going forward at a rapid pace. And unless we evolve and adapt and change what we're doing from day to day, week to week, month to month, we run the risk of getting left behind, and so far behind that we actually, to borrow a racing term, have to pull up. But it's good that we're innovative and we're trying new things and seeing what we can do to enhance our product. And change is always difficult for anyone, but it's only change for a wee while and then it becomes the norm. So once you settle into it, it's usually pretty good.
Yep, no, it will be exciting then because there's some other stuff there with the grass track racing in summertime, and we'll worry about that when that comes around. And hopefully there's some moves at foot to look after, and especially some of those more highlight meetings, if you like, that they're coming. So hopefully they're aware of those as well, because we don't want to lose everything, that's for sure.
No, correct. We don't. And, the grass track racing scene over here plays a big part in New Zealand harness racing. Carries a lot of the turnover from week to week to week. So, look, I'm sure it'll be back in September as big and as bold as ever, and we're going to see some great grass track racing again. But we're going to have this Friday night smorgasbord, if you like, to complement it, which is going to be exciting as well.
It is indeed. Right. Some major achievements. We'll go back a week. Zach Butcher, 1,000 wins. I was lucky enough to get him on the phone. He's a great bloke to talk to, a great bloke to interview. What a passionate man he is. And it's just, a fitting reward, I suppose, for a person that, has so much fun in the industry.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the best assets the harness racing industry in New Zealand has got, I think, Zach, because he is so approachable. He is so willing to talk. He talks well. He's entertaining. He's never short of a quip. those who've got good memories will remember him and his dad squaring off in the Alexandra Park Drivers Premiership one year. And it went down to the last night of the season, and Zach managed to win. I think it was the last race of the night, and he actually stood up in the footrests and had the reins up, and he's standing up and he's pointing down at his dad as they went about 50 metres after the post. I think they took 300 off him for over celebration, but he's just that sort of guy. He's a likable rogue, I guess, or a likable chap. But I think above all else, he's an incredible talent in the sulky. He has developed himself into one of New Zealand's best big race drivers.
Yep, definitely. Emily Morgan, there's your challenge. I want that video. We'll put it on next week's show because I need to see that. I think there'll be a lot of people will need to see that. It's easy to picture him. I think Chris Lang did it over here on Sundon's Gift many moons ago. He stood up going across the line as well. So, yeah, we need it. The industry needs it. I mean, they find them all the time. We don't need them falling out of the cart, but I tell you what, like, there's nothing better. You watch, Blake Shin and the Kiwi jockey, they'll stand straight in the irons, legs straight up, arms straight up, punch in the air. They grow so tall, yet we're not allowed to do that. It's just one of those little ones that maybe they've got to change. But anyway, who knows? What's his name? The good Kiwi jockey that's racing in Australia. He married
James McDonald.
Yeah, that's his name. Yeah. I'm having a big run.
He's only the best jockey in the world, Paul, don't worry.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and he married a good friend of mine, and her name's escaped me as well, too, Million. I've known her since she was in nappies. But anyway, Caitlin, thank you very much. Yep, great person. So, yeah, long story. Don't worry. Rightio. Murray Howard, 50 wins as a trainer. I don't know Murray, but it's a good achievement, anyone achieving these milestones, mate.
Yeah, there will be some Australians who know Murray quite well, actually, because he used to do a lot of travelling with the Crandell-Getty team. A big part of the Crandell-Getty stable out at Kentucky and a lodge. Believe, and pretty sure in saying this, that he would have travelled to Australia with Chris and me. He would have travelled to Australia with horses like Bit of a Legend, and maybe even further back to some of the other horses that Cran's campaigned over there in the past. So Murray's done a lot of work for Cran and has been a big part of that operation, but he's always had a small team on the side, and he's got himself a nice wee horse at the moment called Dasher, who's actually closely related to an open class trotter that he had, and I'm probably going back a decade now, called Benchmark, who actually went to Australia and raced over there as our Benchmark and won a number of races before coming back to New Zealand. So really likeable guy, Murray, really hard worker. Great to see him notch up a milestone with his 50th win when it won. I'm going to say it was at Winton about 10 days ago.
Yep, it was indeed. We didn't get last week's show off the ground. And other friends of both of ours, the Whites, Brent and Timmy, notching up 50 wins, a year and a half roughly of training. So, I mean, it's a great achievement. Group 1 win involved in that as well. Two very likeable gentlemen doing a great job training and also selling the industry, I believe.
Yeah, they are. They're doing a really good job, and it's great to be able to have a little insight into the way that they operate and, the way they go about business, being Canterbury lads. And you're right, they are two really likeable guys. They put themselves out there. They're not afraid, to speak when you need them to. They've got a really good team of people around them too, a couple of talented horsewomen, and Sarah O'Reilly and Kimberly Bart, and good bunch of owners. They're building and building and building, and I think 50 is a good achievement, but it's only the tip of the iceberg for Brent and Tim going forward. They've got a nice team of horses, and their success is just going to continue and continue. They've got American Me at the moment, but it's only a matter of time until they get another good top liner like him, I think, with the horses and the owners that they're attracting to the stable.
Brent, probably known as much as anything as a seller over the journey as well. When horses get on, that's changed. With Timmy coming on board, like they're changing that motto as well. So those horses starts with K, his name, like Carl's Root, a horse recently that they trained that came over here and done great things with David Aiken. There was another horse as well. That will slow up a little bit, I believe, now because they're targeting to have more of those open class horses with the prize money on offer.
Yeah, I think it will, but I think they're still also realistic trainers too. And, if the opportunity is there to sell one, they're not afraid to move one on, particularly to Australia. They've got a horse, ex-horse of theirs, who's winning them in Queensland at the moment, called Bobby Waterhouse, who used to come from their stable. He's doing a good job. Jazzy Star, I think, was the name of that horse you were thinking of. He was a really talented horse, and he went over and joined the Monday stable, I think it was it Trevor?
Could be.
I think it might have been. Who's great mates with Tim. With Brent. So, look, we're going to see more and more of their name popping up in the future. They've got a really nice team, as I say, around them at the moment, and I would predict they'll probably win a couple of races this week with the team they've got on as well.
Yeah, and the other great story for the week, and we'll touch on those runners of theirs coming up, though. This only happened the other day. Lionel Dobbs training his first winner, which some people might think, if especially the Aussies watching this, they might think, 169 starts without a win, but a start number 170, Lionel broke through for his first win as a trainer. It's an amazing story of persistency, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is. Real nice guy, is Lionel, as is his partner, Janine, who you could see there pictured with him. They actually train a really nice team of gallopers as well. Yeah. They've got a couple of nice ones running around at the moment. One in particular, a horse called Emanon, who's racing around the Canterbury region, actually a half-sister to a good mare called Legato, who's doing a great job, obviously Group 1 winner. But they're doing a good job with their horses, and it was great to see them get that win and to see the joy in their faces too. Perseverance paid, I guess is the way that you'd put it. And the horse Better Than Diva, the way it won, could actually be another winner at short notice. He definitely, the way it won on Sunday, will not have to wait another 169 starts to get another winner. It actually heads to a feature race at Addington on Friday night called the Alpines Challenge. I'm just bringing it up as it's snuck past me. Canterbury Plains Challenge, the final of that. So that's for the lower rated horses. Gives them a chance to race for $30,000 this week. And Better Than Diva can definitely win again. John Dunn sticks in the bite too, which is a big tick as well.
Yep, he said. I like the interview where it was written up where he said he knew we're on because John wasn't talking. Just said we'll lead and hand up, and that was it. Conversation over. It was pretty cool insight, that.
Yeah. We were sitting at Ashburton on Sunday getting to that last race, and a couple of people asked me where they should put their last dollars, and I said, well, the way John Dunn's driving at the moment, the way Better Than Diva's been going, you could do a lot worse than throw a lazy tenner on it, and that Julie delivered on that. John Dunn is driving out of his tree at the moment. Man, he is driving really, really well. He had 4 winners at Ashburton on Sunday and maybe almost as many at Addington on Friday night as well. He's just reining him home at a frenetic speed at the moment. And as I look it up, he's 66 wins for the season from just 306 drives.
Yeah.
So he's only 7 behind Blair Orange, who's had 504 drives. So John's strike rate is very, very good, and he's winning a lot of races, and that's going to continue for a very long time.
And he doesn't travel half as much as Blair, and I think Blair's got a short suspension, has he not? Three days or something, which is unique to you Kiwis. But anyway, that's okay. It's what you do, so that's fine. We don't. 3
days over here is generally a week and a half, whereas Greg Sugars got suspended at Alexandra Park last Friday night, or 2 Friday nights ago, copped 5 days, and he was back for the next week.
Yep.
Just with the racing schedule that he undertakes.
He wasn't driving anywhere else. He went to Sydney, drove in Sydney, and then he just goes back and just drives. Everything was normal. So, yeah. Right, we'll wind back a week, and we will go. I want to go through a few of these horses from last. We'll stay at Addington, if you like, for the time being. Race number 1, we highlighted it on the trotting show last week. Yeah, right, Dale. This horse was massive the week before and put the writing on the wall, and it was a brilliant drive by Johnny Dunn on this occasion.
Yeah, and a continuation of the success that we're seeing, fittingly, with the Woodland Stud sign floating along the bottom of the screen of What the Hell. He's starting to really leave a mark on the trotting ranks around New Zealand. Yeah, if you'd seen this horse go the week before, you knew it was a case of it just trotting if it was going to win. And once it found its way to the front, well, it was race over, and it truly delivered. Robert and Jenna are just going so well at the moment. 73 wins for the season. They're on a fast track to potentially win themselves another premiership, I think, the way they're going. And yeah, this trotter's going to win a lot more races too, judging by that performance, because it's still very raw and a bit to learn.
Go back and watch the third. There's nothing to see. You see its feet. every now and then because it was on its worst behaviour out of the gate. And then at the 400-metre mark, you see the rest of it. I mean, it was, and they ran home in 28, I think, in that race. I mean, she didn't smash that because she didn't take any ground off the other two horses. She got a bit harder task this week because Queen Kitson's in that race again, so it's not going to be as easy for that. But it was just one of those unique races to watch the week before.
Yeah, and it sort of put the writing on the wall that the horse had a bit of talent. You know, you can see them going around at trials up against 2 or 3, but until you put them under race conditions and put that little bit more speed into them, you don't know whether they're actually going to correlate that to race day. But just the way it hit the line after all that early era, and John took a lot of the responsibility for that himself. He said it wasn't so much the horse, it was driver area the first time. So he learned as well as the horse did, and the result was a winning one the next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Sheree Tomlinson, she's actually sponsored by Woodlands. They took out their second with Bruce Negus and Buffy Northstains. Another of these 35 to 50 trot races. Plenty of fields, plenty of sizes about these horses, and plenty of random winners, I suppose, continue to come up, Matty.
Yeah, they tend to share them around a wee bit in that grade, which is good to see. Bruce has got a nice team of horses at the moment. He's winning a few races here and there, and you know he plays a big part in the makeup of South Island harness racing with the numbers that he lines up, and it's always good to see him get a success. And yeah, Sheree, obviously a big part of his team as well. She does a lot of the driving and does a bit of work there as well. So always good to see them grab one on a Friday night.
Great to see him. They, I think it was Alabar might have got him to do it, or I'm not sure. Someone did anyway. A bit of social media post. One of the horses working around. I'm tipping it wasn't Bruce with the camera, that's for sure. But anyway, they, I think it's got to do with the weanling sales that's coming up for NZB. But someone did do something there the other day with. It was an elite stride. It was Alabar actually. They've got a couple of elite strides, and yeah, he had one poking around to show people how they trot. So there's no. He's very passionate about the industry, which is terrific. Race 3, Spirit of Anarchy. No one told Ricky May that it was Carter Dalgetty's birthday, that's for sure, because he didn't care. He went and won on the stable, mate.
The ultimate opportunist, we like to call Ricky May. Jumps in the bike, lobs the trail, and wins up the lane. Always looked a nice horse as a 2-year-old. Maybe just needed a bit of time, strengthened up. It was a pretty good field at Pete, so definitely keep an eye on that one going forward. The run of the race come from the 12 Barnstormer. It's a horse to follow. Come from a mile back and charged through the line for Robbie Close and Dean Taylor.
Robbie Close had a pretty good night, actually. Heisenberg, this horse continues to get better and better. He's an art major. They do that. Just continues to get the job done for, again, Johnny Dunn. That's a second of his there. Robbie Close second with Tide and Time, and Jimmy Ray coming in third for Johnny Morris. It was a good race, though, this.
It was a really good race, good competitive race. Heisenberg's a bit of a marvel, really. He had 112 starts. He's 37 times in the top 3. He's probably as many, if not more than that, times running 4th and 5th. And he's taken on some pretty good fields in his life too. Always a real consistent, hard-trying horse. He actually holds, funnily enough, I'm just looking at it now, a New Zealand record. I can't tell you what distance or anything it's over. It's an overall New Zealand record for a 3-year-old by the looks of it. As I scroll down to try and find it, it might have been overtaken. Yeah, it has. It's now held by Amazing Dream. That's all right. But he's been a marvel, Heisenberg. He's done such a fantastic job for the team, for his owners, Ross and Angela Gordon, who've got another very nice horse that we might talk about a little bit later in the show, I'd imagine. Good run from Tide and Time. I thought Jimmy Ray's run was excellent. He was last on the fence at the home turn. He's run home in sub 55.9, so he's gone pretty good. He drops into a Country Cups race at Rangiora on Sunday.
Heisenberg this season's had 8 starts, 3 wins. His previous best season, I think he had 4, but that was just doesn't want to come up as quick to make me sound good. No, it's equal to his best season so far. So he's a funny horse, but yeah, he's enjoying it. He's only 8. He'll keep racing until he's 13, 14. There was a couple of 13-year-olds go around in Bankstown the other day, I think, in one race. So it's doable.
Yeah, it is. We've got a 14-year-old trotter going around at the moment called Take After Me, who just doesn't seem to know when to quit. He ran a placing at Ashburton on Sunday. So some of those horses just thrive on it the older they get.
Yep. There was big news this week in harness racing with Mark Purdon saying not necessarily retiring, but taking a backwards step. I'll just shut that down so we don't hear that. Didn't seem to affect the camp. Chase a Dream, We Walk by Faith. They were outstanding in this race on Friday night just gone.
Yeah, they were. Chase the Dream is the ultimate little professional racehorse. Him and Cole Chisel have obviously had a big 6 to 7 months racing against each other. It was 4-all going into this, but Chase the Dream, clearly the better horse on the night. That's him in the 1-1, about to angle out for Natalie Rasmussen and work his way into it. Cole Chisel obviously sitting on the back of Hadron Collider, who's in front there. And yeah, he probably deserved this, Chase the Dream. Look, he's been potentially the top of the pile. He was so good on Cup Day when he won. He's just got a real will to win, and the reports out of the stable leading into the week were that he was right back at his best, and he certainly showed that here, because it was a very dour performance to hold on and get the win as you see them swinging for home.
Yeah, We Walk by Faith was brave. Liv probably thought she may have had it, and then it looks like he was just going to go straight past, but he's pretty brave, We Walk by Faith, that's for sure. And then Cole Chisel was just outstanding up the inside. Vessam's just been a terrific little horse as well. Continues to get the job done week in, week out. Yeah, they're lovely horses, aren't they?
They are, and been a good crop. You know, you go back to their 2-year-old racing at the end of last year around Cup time, and that they've been up for a while. And doing battle for a while, so they deserve a chance to go to the paddock now and have a bit of a let up before they potentially come back for Derby tilts, which is obviously November time. So it'll be interesting to see what they do off the back of a spell.
It's quite incredible, Vessam. I was just looking him up then to see. I mean, he hasn't won a race as a 3-year-old. He's had 7 starts now and only 2 seconds, and yet he just seems to be going terrific all the time. Doesn't seem to run a bad race.
Yeah, he hasn't had a lot of luck this time. I actually think he won his first 5 races on end.
Yep.
And you might find that he hasn't won a race since then. Through bad luck or some slightly below par performances. So he's definitely trending back upwards, judging by that run. It'll be interesting to see what he's like come Derby time.
A couple of those other horses, Dreams Are Free, probably showing he's a little bit tired. Hadron Collide has always showed a lot of promise, but he's had his quirks over the journey. He looks like he's got rid of his quirks, but just maybe, again, like you said, looking for that paddock, looking for the end of the season.
Yeah, and I think we probably are. As we say, it's been a big campaign. Most of these were up trying to qualify for the Size Stakes final was 2-year-olds in September. And while they might have had a week to 10 days off here and there, they've been pretty much in work since then. So, yeah, they're well deserving to head out for a good spell now and, you know, build back up towards those big races.
Mr. Love got the chockies for the Hopes, Greg and Nina. Blair Orange in the sulky this occasion. The Earth Move, she's just been just a great broodmare, isn't she? She just knocks up these winners and they keep getting the job done for Greg and Nina. Yeah,
they do. And Mr. Love's a very nice horse. He clearly improved considerably off the back of that first up run behind Bet and Win a couple of weeks ago. So that performance. Mighty Logan was very good and behind. Jimmy Carter took up a lot of ground. Mr. Love's going to go on and work his way to open class. I've got no doubt about that. He squares off with Bet and Win again this Friday night, so that'll be an interesting race at Addington.
It will be. It's good to see Bet and Win going around again too. We will touch on that. Right, the Country Championship listed race. We teased about how great a race this was going to be on paper, and it didn't fail to deliver. I'm just going to get it up, but I won't. The stand, I mean, the way these horses actually stood was terrific. They all but went away. I think there's one that misses it. Might have been one of the Dunn's horses. No, I'm not sure if it did even miss it that bad. Yeah, there is one horse out the back there. But other than that, terrific stand. And then just a great spectacle, this race. It's just, there's something about this race. Last year's race was outstanding. This one, maybe a little bit different, if you like, different sort of finish, but still just a terrific race to sit there and watch.
Well, the winning stable certainly wasn't different, Paul. Right. You know, Robert and Jenna Dunn go back to back, of course, after winning it last year with Mighty Louis. And it was the charge of their colours at the top of the straight. They had 3 or 4 in contention there at one point, and it was the Telfer team trying to fight them off. But Charlie Brown's been a bit of an underrated horse. He's had his little quirks. He tried to find the front a couple of times down south and would pull up and do silly things, but sitting off the back of a pretty strongly run 2 mile, they've gone 3:59 on a cool enough winter's night. He was able to get over the top of them and do it in style. And, we're just continuation of this conversation about the way Robert and Jenna's team going. They've picked up the Quinella. They were also fourth in the race, and Stephen Amanda Telfer were third and fifth. The run of Alta Meteor
out of this world
was quite remarkable.
Yeah.
Quite remarkable. Off a 30-metre handicap to loop around them, sit parked. And I was watching this live and I thought, oh, he's all done here, Alta Meteor. He's not even going to run in 5. Well, every 100 metres, he looked like he was going to pick them up and win again. It was a Herculean effort to run third. But ultimately, Charlie Brown and Dalton Shard, both off the front, Dalton Shard was off 10 metres, just had that little bit more at the end after having not done as much work. But you can see Alta Meteor there in the white cap fighting back and really picked himself up off the canvas. Good news for Auckland. He is heading up to the Auckland Trotting Cup, I believe. And he'll be a nice addition to those pacing ranks. I just feel like some of those open class paces that we've got up in Auckland now might be coming to the end of their campaigns.
Yeah.
And I know that an Auckland Cup's now not on the cards for Merlin. I understand. So there's an opportunity for a young pretender.
He's going to Queensland, Merlin. So
yeah, there is an opportunity now for a young pretender to put their hand up and maybe get themselves a Group 1 if they can go with Don't Stop Dreaming and Better Eclipse and co. So Alta Meteor might be that horse. He's been the real big mover up to the open class pacing ranks this year for mine. And yeah, another great addition of the Country Cups Championship. It should be a Group 1. I've got no doubt about it. Group 1 race.
The Frank, how good he went. It should be too. I don't disagree with that. The last 2 years, that has been just one of the great spectacles. The year before might have been too. I didn't see it. It didn't register me if I did see it. But this, it stands a test of time. Franco Indy is no slouch, and he got beat 7.5 metres, which is actually not that bad when you think about it. But he came off the 20. Alta Meteor come around him off 30. Was able to get into the race. I mean, yeah, it's just a phenomenal effort, I thought, what he did. But Charlie Brown, can't take nothing away from Charlie Brown. Dalton Shard, I know the Clive and Clive. I forgot Mark and all sorts. Smith down south would have been wrapped as a breeders. I can't remember. Debbie, thank you. I would have been in a whole world of hurt there, but they would have been wrapped in him. He's going terrific. Looked like he was going to be the winner, and but Johnny Dunn just seems to be timing that run to perfection right at the minute.
Yeah, he does. You can back a lot of those horses if they do line up again in the next couple of weeks. Some of them will be heading to the paddock. I've got no doubt about that. But you back them with a bit of confidence. I mean, you brought up Franco Indy. He's still run quicker than the winner, despite being beaten 7.5 lengths. He's run 3:59.6 was his time. Smoke on the Water was the horse that I reckon you want to be backing out of the race the most. He's made up a stack of ground, and he's run 3:59.5. So there's a few there that I think are going to take that real next step up in the next 6 months to becoming, the horses that are going to be fringe horses in the New Zealand Trotting Cup come November.
And then you throw a little horse of the Duns in there as well with a 3:59.9 dashing major. Didn't actually ever realise that that's how you could work those things. That is their actual time for the distance. And obviously with the handicaps, they take those handicaps off them.
Yeah, well, you can see if you look up the result that Alta Meteor was post to post was 3:57.3. So he's run nearly he's run more than 2.5 seconds quicker than the winner post to post. So probably just puts his performance, as we say, not taking anything away from Charlie Brown because he was phenomenal, puts his performance into even more context.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad I actually understand that. I will say harnessracing.org. I somehow got into their beta thing. They're changing theirs up too. Has a similar little thing, and that's key for punters and to be able to understand exactly what that means. The next race is the harassment.
Well, on that, Paul.
Yep.
Sorry. On that, if you are an Australian and you're a bit of a time buff and you love looking up what a horse has run its last mile, its last half, its last quarter. Every horse at Addington Raceway is electronically timed. They all carry a little GPS on their saddle cloth, and you can actually go onto the HRNZ website, and in the results, there's a little tab called Stride Master for each race. And if you click on that and bring up results, if you stroll down to results, keep going down. I'm watching you here. Click on results there, sorry. And then, so for instance, if you were to go, it's going to be slow, isn't it? that meeting there, if you go to race, for instance, race 3, the Coca-Cola mobile pace, and go view, it will bring up, and there it'll tell you who's run the fastest last half, who's run the fastest last quarter, etc., etc. So as you can see, you can look at that and see, well, Barnstorm has run home at 56.6, is it? And he's come from, last in the field. Yeah,
and 27 last quarter.
Yeah. So there's actually it's a cool wee piece of punting information if you're out there and you like backing those horses that you've seen flying home, just to see what they can actually bring up. But you can go into more depth. It'll tell you which horse has got the biggest stride length, who's covered the most ground in the race, etc., etc. There's biometrics data and everything. It's well worth having a look and a bit of a play around if you're a bit of a fan of that kind of stuff.
Right. So that's, I don't know what that is.
So that's Barnstormer, and it's telling you his sectional times and bringing them down from each point. So it'll tell you his stride count, his stride length, the duration, etc. How much ground he's actually raced. So that was a 1980 mobile. He's actually raced 1995.92, so effectively 1996 metres. You can bury yourself in it for hours.
Even his higher speed. Yeah. But Matty, one thing about that's cool info no one knows about. We need more people to be aware of that. That's
a lot of people over here are, and that's why I brought it up, because I'm not sure whether the Australian viewers or even more so the Australian punters. So it is a key piece of information that you can actually use from week to week. Even just by going and clicking through that first tab that we went to that highlights the horses that are running the fastest last quarters and the fastest last halves, because you might not actually see them to the naked eye, but that certainly tells you, and every single horse that races carries one of those GPSs.
Right. We have them over here. I think that's what they're trying to get to. We don't have as much information as that yet. They definitely have the breakdown of their sectionals and things like that, but I don't know. You have to go into a whole different site, the fact that they're on this website. So that might be coming, because there is these other parts of it coming. So that part might actually be coming. The length of strides and those things, they're cool training tools too. Because if your trotter doesn't trot properly and you go and have a look,
very cool.
Stride might have changed, and yeah.
A lot of trainers, I know a lot of trainers look at it for the stride length and duration and that sort of thing as well. It's a bit of a handy tool to have at your disposal.
I'm going to play around with that later on, keep an eye on some of these trotters, especially the babies, and just keep a bit of a mental note. I like that. Do like a lot. Right, race number 8. Galway Girl got the chockies for Craig Thornley, Steve McRae. There's Bet and Win. We've been talking about these horses. There's probably higher profile horses. This horse, she's an absolute ripper. Uniquely bred, I found out last night on the Talking Trotters show. But just, there's something about this filly, and it's just great to see these sorts of horses win anytime. She's got a good record, but to win any time, but win on the big stage is terrific for him as well.
Yeah, it is, and she's been going great races. She's got a few quirks.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. She does have a tendency to switch into a pace from time to time, which I know can be frustrating. But when she's trotting and bowling along, she's pretty effective. She is very well bred, of course, being a half sister to the likes of Escapee, of Trevor Casey's that raced for Markham and Addington. Also Winterfell's from that family, who was another Group 1 trotter. So it's a good family. Her broodmare value, being out of Una Bromack, is going to be very high. What you don't see in this race is the favourite Sunny Sister actually gallops early on in the race, and she takes no part. Now, I think I can tell you, Paul, that she's coming to Queensland. Sunny Sister. I believe so. If the word I'm hearing around the traps at the moment is correct, she is coming over for races like the Great Square, etc. So she'll be a great addition to that Carnivalville as well. So, but to go back to Galway Girl, Steve McRae, good man, great trainer. Craig Thornley, always smiling, always love seeing them win races. And to see them get a Group 3 with this trotter was fantastic.
Miss Yo was good. Julia Jacker was good as well. But, I think all honours with the winner. And she's one of those horses. I did Talking Trotters last night, and Nick Hooper is a bit of he's a breeding Nazi, I suppose, if you like. And when I said it can just flick, because it can, It just can flick into a pace. It doesn't have to break stride, doesn't even toss its head. It just all of a sudden's pacing. But she's out of a live or die mare, and then there's another part of it that's got another pacing part. That's what he said. That's where the pace probably comes from, and it was quite cool insight into that. He's going to watch it more often now, though, because I said, well, she's quick. When she's right, she's so quick, but I've never seen a horse that can just flick. I've seen horses that roll into a pace. She doesn't do that. She just flicks straight over. She's pacing. And you can see Craig's like, oh, you're joking. Like, he just doesn't believe she can do it.
No, and I don't. Yeah, well, that's it. There's no warning for them. She just does it. But as I say, when she's trotting and when she's feeling big and bold and trotting along a wee bit, she is very effective and very talented.
She is indeed. The Can't Print Bionic bracelet for the 2-year-old fillies. Good to see Nathan Williamson. He was up and about the week before trying to get some winners as well. This was a gun drive, though. It was an interesting race, the way it was set up in front with Stella Rogue, and I'll let you go into that while I try and find the spots. But it was a good drive, very patient drive. In some parts, he had to get out at the right time, but it was quite an interesting little race, the way it panned out. And I am going to show you the start, just so you can talk that part through, Matty.
Yeah, there was a few fireworks. You're looking for the 2 horses drawn 2 and 3. One of the Brett Grey colours punching out now for Brent Barclay, and the other one, the Stonewall Stud Runner in Stella Rogue, or Rouge, I think it might actually be. Now, Brent didn't seem all that keen on handing up, and Tim didn't seem all that keen on taking a trail, and what eventuates is they actually get out to quite a notable margin here. And they don't actually back it off.
No.
Like usually you would see after that early burn, they'll come back to the rest of the pack. But I don't know whether Stella Rouge took a hook. It certainly didn't appear that way, but she sort of just kept running. Like she's now 4 lengths clear of Captain's Have Time, and there's still probably 10 lengths back to the next horse. So the winner is actually sitting 4 fence at the moment in the Nathan Williamson colours. And serious risk of being bottlenecked in. So it was a good performance to win from there. Very good performance from the runner-up, Stella Rogue, after doing all that early work on debut too. So she's definitely going to be a horse to follow going forward for Stonewall. Good crop of 2-year-old fillies. I don't know whether there's a clear and definitive standout yet. And we're probably not going to see that until we roll through the season. As you see, Nathan gets off the fence there, and then Terry Schmiel looks to come out on Caught the Eye, which gives him the 1-1 ride home. But really entertaining race, I guess you could say, for a Group 2. And nice to see Nathan's horse getting home over the top of them and getting the job done.
Yeah, I don't think Nathan wanted to be buried back on the fence. It's right here. I think he still just wants a helmet to follow, and Blair goes around him then, and he's like, well, I'll just, because it looked a little bit messy, but I think he just had a conceited approach not to get to the front too quick, I reckon, with her. He could have quite easily just straight up down the back straight. It looked to me, he's got plenty of horse, but he was pretty comfortable having a helmet to follow, I think, the whole trip.
Yeah, I remember him telling me that he thought she was a filly with, a lot of high speed, and, driving her for that speed was the best way to handle it. And as you can see, she comes out and really, really lets down here. It was quite a commanding performance inside the last 200 metres. She looks like she's got a bit of developing to do still, too. Like, she looks a pretty raw version of a filly, and a bit of time on her side, and she's going to be a beautiful 3-year-old, I think, when she comes back next year. Obviously, there's still some challenges and some assignments for her later on in the year as well.
Yeah, later in the season, she's going to. Yeah, I agree with you. She's now had 3 starts, 2 wins. Lovely looking filly, lovely going filly, and just a pretty smart drive there from the goat Nathan Williamson. And then never seen the rain. Well, that was us here until last week, but the Duns 1, 2, 3 with Mickey's Courage and Davey Dooley taking out the last at Addington.
Yeah, just rinse and repeat, really. They actually looked at the top of the straight like they were going to run 1, 2, 3, 4. Follow Your Dreams only finished 2 lengths behind the winner, the fourth of the runners. So it's been a bit of a burst onto the scene type that's never seen the rain, and it's doing a good job. It's got a good bunch of owners around it too. Thompson Bloodstock have owned a lot of winners. Jim Gibbs, sorry. Peter Bacon in there, of course, who we all know well as a prolific winning owner over on the shore. And yeah, Blair Orange is driving a little bit for the Duns at the moment, having a bit of success. So he seems to be picking up a drive for them every now and then, which is good. And yeah, good result to cap off what was a big night for that stable.
Peter Bacon, one of the best dressed blokes going around. What about for the rest of the week just gone? Was there anything else you wanted to highlight? There was a good meeting at Ashburton actually on the Sunday. I know that. So
yeah, there was a good meeting. Look, I think we saw a pretty nice trotter, incidentally, just to keep things going, coming from the Robert Jenner's Ton stable. Horse called Kairaki Spur, who won the first race of the day. Serious motor, this horse. It absolutely jogged it first up. Looks a horse with a fair bit of ability, and it's going to go on and win a lot of races, I think. Trojan Princess was a good winner for Mark and Nathan Purden. Devin Dolan doing the driving on that one. Four Wise Men was probably the star of the show, though. It's going to head to a graduation final at Rangura on Sunday and be awfully hard to beat. It did it very nicely. But the story of the day on Sunday was, of course, Better Than Diva winning for Lionel Dobbs.
Yeah, it was indeed. I've got that trotter up now. It took me a little bit to get it up, but this horse was having its first start in a race. It's a daughter of What the Hill, and you're pretty impressed by it by the looks.
Oh, just the manner in which it won. As you can see here, so it lead from barrier one from the standing start, which is never easy for a trotter on debut, but it's just cartwheeling in front here. It's just doing it easy. They don't win much more impressively and easy as that. The only thing that concerned me was it actually galloped 25 metres after the winning post, but John Dunn at his absolute best managed to keep it down till he got to the winning post. I know they've got a bit of time for it, so it might be one to keep an eye on for the future.
Anyone wonder what I was pointing at? Just as you said it, I was like, oh, I should have let it keep running for a little bit longer. I was like, damn it. So, yeah. Right, Matty, week ahead. Pretty exciting week coming up. You can be forgiven for saying Auckland's going to be the main name for the show, but we're going to start at Christchurch, Addington, with a good meeting. Few interesting races, if you like, to start off with. But then you've got the SENZ, which is mouthful, New Zealand 2-year-old trotting stakes. This is a Group 3 for the 2-year-old trotters. Got a good field of horses here.
Just call it SENZ, Paul.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense. Yep.
Yeah, SENZ. Sport and Entertainment Network New Zealand. Yeah, really nice. Sorry, I digress there. Interesting to see you're right, Dale. She wasn't actually in the initial nominations,
no.
But they kept them open, and she snuck her way in to the field. Obviously, takes on the unbeaten Queen Kaizen, who should draw plenty of Australian interest, given that she is a half sister to Queen Elida. And, of course, Toro Stride, who we know well. So that's going to be a really good race. I know the Duns have got a bit of time for Frazzled, who didn't get it right on debut, but you would be surprised if the winner didn't come out of your right, Darling Queen Kaizen, based on what we've seen so far on the track.
And Carla Pixie trots good by Carlton. I was mentioning it last night on my show as well. It's got a future. I know Carlton only lightly raced 3 starts, I think, and only the 1 win for Greg and Nina, but yeah. Got a bit of a future.
He was a lovely racehorse, Carlton. He was a beautiful looking horse. He actually comes from a great trotting family from here in Mid Canterbury that was established by the late Carl Middleton. Now, those with better memories will remember Carl as a trainer of trotters. He actually won an Inter-Dominion Grand Final with a horse called Lily the Pink. Going back many years ago. Carl's breed, synonymous with success over here. He was a fantastic horseman who we unfortunately lost way too early, 15 years ago, I suppose now. This one hails from his breed. Elder Brower and Lodge actually brought Carlton's dam at a dispersal sale on the day that he passed away for all of his stock. Another Love was a very good trotter of his breed, but nice to see some of his going out on the track. I actually think, and I might be wrong here, they stood Carlton for free.
Yep.
At one point.
Yep.
So you could just send them here to him and, hopefully get a foal out of it. And Greg and Nina trained Carlton, so it was logical that they were going to get a couple. And yeah, Carla Pixie's done a good job. 2 seconds and 2 starts, 1 to Queen Kaiser and 1 to your right Dale. What I would say is I think it's probably the safest of them. It just seems to trot. And it made up a bit of ground off your right Dale last week, which is encouraging for this week. 50,000 up for grabs, so it's going to be an interesting race for the baby trotters.
Massive Merc goes terrific. Covers a lot of extra ground. I'm going to go and have a look at his stride master in a minute because he covers a lot of ground at the minute and he wants to run up the track and doesn't help Alan either. But what about the name of the 2? Sheep. How? What? Where's? I was like, nah, it can't happen. You Kiwis, you can't let that one through, but they have.
Oh, we'll let anything through within reason. I must admit, I had a wee wry smile on my face when I saw it too. Sam Payne, young man, doing a good job over here. He's got a nice wee team. He actually had a winner last week with a horse called Bonnie Baggery, who won at Addington last Wednesday. So nice to see him with a young trotter out there chasing a bit of black type success up against a pretty good field of 2-year-old trotters.
2-year-old paces, they step out in the Group 1. Avon City Ford, New Zealand, Welcome Stakes, Group 1 event for the 2-year-olds, $110,000 on offer. Ribera would have been a favourite for this a month ago, but it might have changed a little bit now, Matty.
Well, the manner in which Got the Chocolates won the other night would suggest that there's not a lot between these horses based on their results alone, but Got the Chocolates was awesome last week. Just the way it travelled through the line. John found the front. He just kept running and just kept running and kept running. And if it finds the front again and can bowl along nice 7 quarters and then just get quicker and quicker and quicker, it's hard to see how these ones are going to make the ground off it to beat it. Always Dreaming was good making ground. Nathan continuing his trip or his time up here in Canterbury. And Ribera, I don't think you can drop it on that one run. The biggest problem for it is the outside draw, which means that they're either going to have to go forward early and try and get into the race or look to swoop into it late. They've got the right man in the bite to make that happen anyway in Blair Orange. Yeah,
no, it's a good little race that actually, and a little bit. And as I said, just a night where everyone's going to be looking. Everyone in Australia will be looking at Auckland. We're going to highlight that meeting now, but good undercard there, and the 2-year-olds and the 2-year-old trotters as well stepping out because there's a good field of 2-year-old trotters over here at Auckland, and I've got that race will be the next one I'm going to preview, Matty, just so you're aware. But terrific depth in the 2-year-old trotters so early in the season as well in New Zealand, which is exciting. I'm talking about the IRT Young Guns that will be race number 4 at 7 o'clock. Good little field this, meant to be. It looks like it's got a real good future because it loves the line.
Yeah, it does, and got a beautiful way of going too when it is trotting. Obviously, was disqualified in its first start. Looks to potentially be the best one in the north, and it's always interesting to see how the North Islanders measure up to the South Islanders when they finally do clash. Higher Power is probably the more reliable bet at this stage, based on what it's done in 2 starts, but meant to be might have that little bit of brilliance. And it's just this continuation. I was actually talking about it with some people the other day. The Barry Purdon and Scott Phelan stable at the moment has just got talent coming out of every corner, be it equine, be it human, Zachary and Crystal, and they're just riding this crest of a wave at the moment, and they're unleashing this young stock. We saw the 2-year-old filly, you're the one that I want, run such a good race in the Young Guns final against the boys. It's an exciting time for that stable, and they've always been there, but I really feel that in the last 12 months they've gone from being there to being right there, if that makes sense, because for so long it's been the Mark and Natalie, the Mark and Nathan show when it comes to big races, but Barry and Scott are really starting to stand up and saying, well, hold on a minute, we're here and, we mean business as well. So, yeah, I think they're in for a really exciting next, year to 2 years at least.
Yep. Yeah, it's they've had 3 horses in the fast class. Max Shard's winning those races. You've got a horse like Merlin, sooner the better. He's an exceptional talent that, he seems to be always going to be a bridesmaid. Duchess Megs it. Then you've got these young trotters coming through. You've got young 2-year-olds, which we'll touch on in a minute as well. They've got fillies, they've got colts, they've got old horses. Even Peter Welsh's daughter, Sarah, I don't think she's in any hurry to come home. She's quite enjoying herself over there as well.
Yeah, well, and why wouldn't you? You know, you're getting to take some of these horses to the races each week, and they're generally picking up a big race every week. You know, Cold Chisel, even though he only ran third the other night, was fantastic. So they haven't got a horse in the Roy Purdon Memorial this week, which is obviously disappointing for them, given it's a race named after Barry's father, but Mark will have a couple in there, so that's going to be a cracking race as well. You've got it up on the screen there now. Don't Stop Dreaming obviously was pretty disappointing by his high standards last time. Self Assured was very good. You've got Old Town Road, Better Eclipse. Interesting to see how he goes under those standing start conditions. Speak the Truth. Your thoughts on him over here, Paul? I've been a little bit disappointed by him.
I would agree. I don't think he has hit the mark. Standing starts will be an issue because, although they do have, actually, better be careful there because they do actually have them still in Queensland. In Victoria, we don't have them. I'm just going to have to kill a bit of time here while I try and get his form up in Queensland. But I think he's one of those horses that likes to be up on the pace and probably hasn't been afforded that opportunity over here for a few reasons. One, barrier draws, where he's been drawn back in on the fence, and then the depth of the horses he's taken on. It's not that easy just to say, well, we're just going to put you up into the depth like they did at Menangle, and he was awesome there. Maybe also the wrong way. Matty might be playing a little bit on his mind too with that. I'm not sure. But yeah, he is a nice horse, but I'm sure the team would be, I hate that. My spelling and me don't agree with each other too often, Matty. And what did I do wrong there? I reckon I spelt that right. Oh, no, there's not. Speak's not double E, Matty. Just so you're aware, you know, you might be able to spell a little bit better than me. But when I do these things and have them live, people bloody must cringe at some of the words I actually do right. Just having a look here. So he hasn't got any standing start form at all either. So that'll be another issue for him in that race. There's zero. He's obviously qualified from a stand, but there is not one standing start race amongst any of his starts here in Australia. So that'll be another concern for him. But maybe it's just because of the race that they've picked out. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, obviously the Auckland Cup coming up as a stand start affair, so he would have to have one, you would hope. One thing in his favour is he is off a 10-metre handicap. There's only 4 horses on that tape. American Me's the only horse off the front for the white stable, so he gets his chance. He'll have plenty of room to try and ping away. And yeah, I know things probably haven't quite gone his way, but he probably hasn't really caught the eye like I thought he would over here, given some of his performances back in Australia before he came over.
Yeah, and Better Eclipse, he definitely hasn't gone backwards. I mean, he hasn't got a 1 or a 2 next to his name in his form, but he's been catching the eye for so many of those runs, whereas Speak the Truth's just been that next length back from that.
Yeah, 100%. Better Eclipse. I actually think he's a good bet this week. He just the stand start. I think he's a pretty sensible enough horse. He should get away. You know, got the right man in the bike to make it happen. And again, he's going to have a bit of room on the 20-metre handicap. And if he could potentially settle in front of the Mark and Nathan pair, then he gets his chance to turn the tables on them and actually get a win, because he's definitely been going good enough to win. There's no doubt about that.
Yep, and no Max Shard for him either, so he'll be happy with that as well, which is something you wouldn't have thought you'd have been saying. The Magnus Benroe Sire Stakes for the 3-year-old fillies. This is a Group 1 event, 140,000. Good field, very, very good field here, Matty. Be interested in your thoughts as to how this race might pan out with all you need is me drawing the pole.
Yeah, it's a shame. I'm actually hoping to catch up with Crandall Getty in the next half an hour or so to talk about this filly. Obviously, she was a little bit disappointing and looked like she might have been in need of some gear changes with her first up run after a bit of a lead up last time when she ran 5th and behind Duchess Megxit. Look, before that, she was the clear leader of this age group. I had no doubt about that. And if they can sort those issues out and she can lead, then I think they might be running for second. Duchess Megxit being obviously the biggest danger to her. It's a good race. There's some nice horses in here that have done good jobs. Seaside Rose has been flying for Stonewall. Ultimate Racy Girl doesn't seem to know how to run a bad race, and Always Be You's been going well for the Duns, but I would be very surprised if the winner didn't come out of the 1 or the 3.
See Natalie Rasmussen driving for the Duns as well there with Queen of Swords. A couple of drivers still to be announced. That's a good pickup there.
Yeah, this one owned by the Offen Racing Syndicate. It's set up by Andrew Fitzgerald, who does some good syndication work over here in New Zealand. And I know with John deciding to stick to Addington and his commitments down there, they went on the search for a driver and managed to find Natalie, which they were pretty excited about. She's been going really well too. Queen of Swords. She's beaten RDB Mickey in her last 2 starts and done it quite nicely. So she definitely wouldn't be out of contention. She looks a very fast filly off the back of a sit. And if you've got Natalie Rasmussen in the bike in a big race, you're never too far away from the action, that's for sure.
No, she's coming up on a milestone, is she not? I know Greg O'Connor said something the other day. I was listening, only half listening, but she's got a pretty big milestone coming up as far as Group 1 wins. She might be on 90-something Group 1 wins, I think. So, yeah. Only half heard the story, which is never ideal. Doesn't want to fit in the whole page. Now I've got it. The IRT NZ Sire Stakes for the 3-year-old trotting. 3-year-old trotters, this is a Group 2 event. I keep saying about the depth of trotters in New Zealand is outstanding. And then you look at a couple of these horses and you just got to get excited by these battles that some of these horses are starting to have. Paramount Kiwi and Empire City drawing 5 and 6 respectively, though. It's a good race.
Yeah, this race excites me. 2 very, very good trotters and a very good field around them. Paramount Kiwi's been the ultimate professional. Empire City hasn't really put a foot wrong in her career either. She was very good running third first up in her first look at Alexandra Park, and then Ricky May took the bull by the horns last time and found the front with her, and that was a case of it being race over. So he may look to do that again, Ricky. She's got really good speed early, and if she can get in front of Paramount Kiwi, then I think she can beat him. If she has to sit outside him, it might be a different story. So looking forward to seeing how that one unfolds. Princess Sadie obviously galloped early last time out, but she'd been so good in her 2 runs before that. So wouldn't write her off again either.
I think she's come back better. And you just look at that, she maybe 3 back the fence at worst, having a soft run if she behaves herself early. She might be a sneaky chance of getting over the top of these other 2.
100%. Definitely. She has got a lot of high speed when saved up for 1 run. So it'll be interesting to see whether she can lob herself that trip that she needs.
And the HR Fiskin and Sons, what do they do? Sorry, Matty, you're right.
Yeah, I was just having a sneeze. HR Fiskin and Sons is, how would I describe it? It's like a horse feed and saddlery from memory. Oh. I have been there once, but it was a very long time ago. Hope I've got that right. I really do.
Great sponsors.
Otherwise, I'm getting abused for it.
Should never do that to you, but they're great sponsors. I know that. That's why I said that, because you hear them all the time sponsoring races over there. So well done to those guys.
I was right. Animal feed and textile.
Right, the Anzac Cup got a little bit of Anzac spirit about it. This race too. It's a good trot race. Obviously, just believe not stepping out, Matty, but still a nice field and a little bit of intrigue with Kai Valley Hotspur making his way back over to contest this and the Rowe Cup.
Yeah, I haven't. I must say that I haven't had a really serious look at Kai Valley Hotspur's form over in Australia, and I will do that at some point. But I only got a look at the family line around it. Love Me Again's actually going around in the Group 1 before that, which is the sister by Father Patrick.
Yep.
And Love Me Too, of course, is a Derby winner over here, so there's a bit of blood bond there. And I believe, too, Paul, that post the Rowe Cup, the horse is actually moving down to Bob Butt's stable in Canterbury and is going to be aimed at the Dominion Handicap come November. I believe that is the game plan as I read it.
Wow.
So we'll be in New Zealand for an extended amount of time, and moving to the Bob Butt stable was the last that I'd heard. So yeah, going to get a really good line on where it's at this week. Obviously, Oscar Bonavina and Muscle Mountain there. Muscle Mountain was very, very good, albeit beaten fair and square by a very good horse in Just Believe a couple of weeks ago. So look, it looks his race for the taking. More importantly for him is the first 50 to 100 metres of the race, he's got to step away. Which he generally does, but he obviously, those that will remember the Row Cup of last year will know that he didn't get it right. So he'll be looking for a good confidence building first 100 metres, I think, this week. And if he gets through that, then I think he becomes the horse to beat.
Yeah, last year's Loving the Port was last year's winner for Maddie. Was he last year's Row Cup winner? Sorry, not Anzac Cup winner. I don't know who won the Anzac Cup. Muscle Mountain might have won it last year, actually.
Yes.
He did. Kai Valley Hotspur.
Muscle Mountain won the Anzac Cup last year, from memory. Yep.
Kai Valley Hotspur.
Actually, no. I lie.
Who did?
Muscle Mountain didn't line up in the Anzac Cup last year, from memory. I think he went fresh into the, as I'm bringing it up,
the Row Cup.
Just in case I get it wrong. I think he went fresh straight into the Row Cup. Yeah, Eurocash's stablemate won the Anzac Cup last year.
Yep. And that was why they took him for the week after.
Memory's still working.
Yep, just. Kai Valley Hotspur
Yep.
will be the reigning Country Cups horse of the year here in Victoria. He won Bendigo, Yarra Valley, Charlton and Mildura Trotting Cups and Cobram. He might have won 5 of them, actually, Country Cups. The Bendigo Trotting Cup is probably the biggest one of those, but nowhere near as big as what the Anzac Cup here is. I would imagine they've got every right because he's a Derby winner. I mean, he's a great horse. I would say this is conditioning him, as you said, for the Dominion and probably a set at quite a few of the rich racing coming up at the end of the season in the South Island. So pretty good insight that he's staying with Bobby. That explains why he's going, because I'm thinking, why would you go over there, take on Muscle Mountain, and then next week take on Just Believe? But that'll be why, and that's forward planning, I'd imagine, with this horse.
Yeah, and of course, Lil obviously having strong associations to the Canterbury region and being a former Canterbury boy himself. I read that in a story somewhere within the last couple of weeks. I feel like there's been so much harness racing news to absorb and try and get their head around. But yeah, definitely that was the plan according to what I read. So exciting to have another one, because these trotting ranks that we've got at the moment and what they're going to be like by the time we roll around to Dominion time, they could be very different. You know, we've got 6 horses going around this week. It's not going to be a huge amount more by the time we get around to the Row Cup. But by the time we get to the Dominion, I think you're going to see the likes of Sunny Sister, Mighty Logan, Mr. Love, Bet and Win, Galway Gal. Those sort of horses are actually going to graduate their way back up and into that open class category and give some real depth to those Group 1 trotting features that we've got coming up in November in Canterbury and around that period as well, because there's obviously more than the one Group 1. You
put on top of that, though, Greg Sugars has said Just Believe and Better Eclipse, potentially Dominion Handicap New Zealand Cup for both those horses, Better Eclipse in a standing start. So you've got those. Chris Finozio, RC Phoenix, I know he's in the paddock getting ready. He's bringing him back. If he's right, the Dominion Handicap is on his radar there as well. And then he also has Love Me Too. Now, if he gets Love Me Too through the Winter Carnival, and we know how good a horse he is when he's right, Love Me Too, there's another horse that might make his way back over for the Dominion Handicap as a travelling mate with RC Phoenix. So it's going to be a great end of the season for the trotters, let alone the pacers. Who else comes across? Like, as I said, Greg's bringing Better Eclipse, but you never know who else might be coming across from Australia.
I'll put my hand on my head now and say that Just Believe won't be at Addington.
Okay.
They want to win a third Inter-Dominion title. So that's kicking off in November, not that long after Cup Week. So I would imagine they'll stick around and chase that instead of coming over here. I know that this Kiwi campaign was the main aspect for the first half of the year, but I believe the Inter-Dominion and going for a third was the next big aim. So whether they would risk that by coming over here and racing and what potentially could end up being a very grueling 2 miles a couple of weeks out before the start of the series, I don't know. Love to see him at Addington. Don't get me wrong. Would love to see him. And if you're listening, Greg and Jess, do it. I'm sure Stacey and David will give you a room for the week. They'll look after you, make sure he's there. But I think he might be sticking over there for the Inter-Dominion series.
He did do a live show with me, and he sort of suggested that maybe but maybe he hasn't worked his dates out. He might not have looked at it. You never know. they might have that much faith with the horse. They might say, no, we'll go there and come back. You never know. So they know what
Well, he doesn't look like he doesn't tax himself too much in races, old Harry, does he? He just sort of does what he has to do and wins most of the time. So I don't think he's going to take too much out of himself.
It's one of those ones. I want everyone in Australia to be aware that, like, come to the Wheeling sales next week, stay for the Road Cup. What's going to be great, but want the Kiwis to also come to the Road Cup, because Nick Hooper said last night, like, this horse, he could be like, I know, there was talk about Lyle Creek, but if he just keeps winning this horse like he looks like he's going to at the minute, he could be as good a trotter as we've had in decades, maybe since Lyle Creek. He might be better than Lyle Creek. I'm not saying one way or the other, but it doesn't matter. Don't put him better or worse than any other horse. Just celebrate how great a little trotter this horse is.
I loved that from Greg reading a bit of media this week. He wanted to win races like the Road Cup, and he wanted to win them because champion trotters like Lyle Creek had, and he felt like Just Believe's name needed to be on that roll of honour alongside those great Kiwi trotters that we've seen win Road Cups, the I Can Do's, it's the Lyle Creeks, the like, the list goes on and on and on. So I thought that was really cool. And had it not been for the fact that I might be sneaking my way over to Queensland in July, I would have been at Auckland for the Road Cup without doubt, because I don't really want to pass up the opportunity to see that horse racing on New Zealand soil.
You going as Sunny Sisters media person or someone else?
No, I'm going to carry Bob Butt's driving bag for him.
There's going to be plenty of people there. I'm hoping to get a berth up there myself, I must say. So looking forward to it. Matty, for the rest of the week, what do we got? As I said, I'm going to get Jonny Turner on in a second. Your highlights for the rest of the week, potentially?
Yeah, big card at Invercargill on Saturday, obviously, but also a really good card at Rangiora on Sunday. They've been holding graduation heats over the last 2 meetings there this month. So there's been 4 heats each meeting, and they actually come to finals this week for good stakes, $22,000. They're both called the Ann Thompson Graduation Final. And those fields have just come out. Race 5 on the card is the first one. We see 4 Wise Women coming up against some pretty nice types like Edward Longshanks, also Sheila Laxon, a Fine Patrick, who was another one from the Craig and Amy Edmonds stable. They've got a really strong hand in the race, which is great. And then the pacing version is also the same. Chicago Beer was such a good winner for Cran and Chrissy. I've got a lot of time for the Brent and Tim White train, Clonakilty. He was awesome winning on debut, and I think he's going to end up doing a pretty good job. So that's a great race as well. So, looking forward to seeing those 2 finals be held on Sunday at Rangiora.
Awesome prize money on offer there too. $20,000, $22,000, both those races, and 17 horses in that trot race. How many emergencies is there? 2 emergencies, so 15 trotters are going to go around. A lot of Australian junior drivers would cringe at that. They wouldn't know how to count to 14 in front of them. They'd be in all sorts if they were out the back. But just great size fields, great racing, and they weren't up when we started this show. I know that, but they've been done since.
Throw into the mix too that it's a standing start, and it gets even more exciting because it'll be pretty cramped there across that front line. So looking forward to that meeting on Sunday. It's been cool because obviously those horses that have won a heat of the series are actually eligible to come back and race against the maidens again, so they effectively stay in the same grade. And I know 4 Wise Women made the most of it by actually going and winning at a different meeting last week, so it's getting effectively another free crack at the maiden grade despite having won 2 races. So going to be interesting racing.
No, absolutely, mate. Thank you. I'll let you go. Get over to Cran. Thank you very much. As always, love talking trotting, harness racing with you. We might catch up next week. We might not. We'll just see what happens over the weekend as well. Didn't even touch on Bet and Win stepping out this week, which is pretty good of you, leaving the family horse out. But good luck to the connections.
Oh, I don't want to seem like I'm just talking about him all the time, but I think we're going to get our chance to talk about him in the next couple of months anyway, Paul. So, hopefully he goes well for them on Friday night.
You can. He's by What the Hill. It's all good. You can talk about him as much as you like. Mate, thank you very much. And as I said, I'll catch up with Jonny Turner right now. Right, joining me now on Over the Ditch is Jonny Turner, the king of content. Hello to you, Jonny.
G'day, Paul. Great to be on. Great to talk to you again, mate.
Good to catch up with you. Didn't see you in Menangle last week or 2 weeks ago with the Manhattan boys. You didn't make the trip this time?
Didn't make it this time, but maybe I should have been there. I was the lucky charm on Miracle Mile night, so yeah, maybe I should have gone. She still ran a mighty race, ran fifth, but yeah, very proud of her effort. But the winner was good, wasn't she? She's a bit of a machine, I think.
Yeah, and this is a show to promote Over the Ditch. You're right, always Artie's Express. But Jack Trainer, the job that he done, Braveview Kelly, Manhattan, what did I work out? I think it was 6 metres between the top 5 horses across the line. He had 3 of them. Just amazing effort.
Yeah, local Dunedin lad who's learned his trade over here, and he's obviously taken his game to the next level over there. He's doing a super job, Jack. That was his 5th Group 1 win, and it certainly won't be his last.
His 4th Ladyship Mile. Queen Elizabeth II now it is. Sorry, I should be saying. I'll get into trouble from the team at Menangle. But, yeah, that's an incredible effort. He's got a great affinity with mares, that's for sure.
Yeah. You can't argue with the record he's done. He's made a good association with Mark Jones, who's sent him a couple of really smart ones in Stylish Memphis, Braveview Kelly, and obviously Bob Butt sent him Manhattan. So the Kiwis are sending them over. Jack's doing a great job with them, and everyone is pretty happy on this side of the ditch anyway.
Yep, and they were happy last week too. Afterwards, I saw them at they were nearly the last taxi out of the place, the boys heading into Sydney, and it was a lot of fun. And they were trying to get me to go. There was no chance in Hades I was going with those guys to that occasion. I knew exactly it was going to be no good. So, but that's what it's about. It's about having fun, and that's what the Manhattan boys do, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's all about enjoying the experience and the ride. We're not motivated by dollar signs or anything along those lines. It's all about a bit of fun, and when we do have a win, it's all about the horse and the thrill of watching her succeed. So yeah, we're motivated by fun and fun only, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to touch on a horse south side of heaven. I think it's a well-named horse. Well, I'll get more onto that. Want to promote what goes on in New Zealand for the Aussies, but the Aussies and hopefully some of the Kiwis like what we put out as well. Down south, Johnny, is where you're from, Invercargill, down the bottom of the South Island. Nathan Williamson's just doing a stellar job for you guys down there, though, on the big stage at the minute. So are so many others. But his win with Captain's Mistress on last Friday night, I reckon it was as good a drive as you'll see on the night for a man that I think had a dead set driving plan and executed it to perfection.
Yeah, he just had that look about him, Nate, that he really wanted to hold her up for that last run at them. Having spoken to him, she is a filly with obviously heaps of ability, but she does have the potential to get to the front and knock off. Just being so green and having only the 3 starts, you could probably appreciate that. So he had a plan to sort of swoop on them, and he could have got going a lot earlier. A lot of the other drivers got itchy fingers about the 600 or 500 or so, but yeah, Nathan held her up, and she was way too good because of that. She was really electric. Her win at Group 2 level at Winton in the start prior was just as exciting. She really dashed late and won that race. And yeah, she's a half sister to Merlin, and her records at the same stage is probably pretty similar, to be fair.
He's going terrific, Nate. Geez, he's bought well. He's got some beautiful horses around him. I'm sure they had to pay a little bit for a few of those, but he's really targeted getting the right breed of horse, I suppose, to target these bigger races that he is targeting.
Yeah, this filly came to him as a weanling, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure the exact backstory, but that's a bit of a rare one. Obviously, everyone knows the value in going to the sales and buying a really nice yearling, but this one a little bit different. Just shows you that if you get a nice weanling, you can obviously go on and have a lot of fun with it. And I imagine there'll be a lot of people looking at the weanling sales coming up later this month, thinking that wouldn't mind getting their hands on a Captain's Mistress. That's for sure.
Is she a weanling sale graduate or just?
Now, it was a private deal through Taffy Limited, who sells a heap of yearlings. Obviously, you'll know Todd Anderson and his wife. So they bred her, and they have the mother, who's obviously left Merlin, and a couple other handy types. But yeah, those two obviously the pick of the family there so far.
Absolutely. Your footage every now and then cuts out. Don't let that worry you. Yeah, it's just I think the internet maybe down south mightn't be quite. Don't worry, it was an issue for Matt Markham as well a couple of times that we had going through there. Right, Winton last Saturday. Unusual race on a Saturday with harness racing. What like crowd-wise and things like that, how do they work down there, Johnny?
It's a battle on a Saturday, to be honest. Saturday, because Australia has such good gallops races coming in. There's obviously New Zealand gallops as well. Harness racing can battle on a Saturday. We're on the second channel over here, and it's not the ideal day for racing harness racing in this country, as far as I'm concerned. So, crowd wise and that sort of thing, it can be a challenge. Sunday is the day we seem to make work best over here, and but anyway, we battle on. We've got a few Saturdays in a row in Southend, and we battle through. And we've had some good racing the last month or so. It's really in that winter mode down here. So yeah, same sort of horses going around, but this is good competitive racing, and there are some handy types coming through the woodwork.
No, definitely, there definitely are. It's interesting you say that too, from an Australian point of view. Anyone wondering? I know the last couple at Winton we didn't get to see at all. I don't know if that was planned or not, but even on the second channel we didn't get to see those. And sometimes on a Friday night when it gets too congested, they'll just stop showing the second of the Friday night meetings as well. They're meant to show the whole lot, but if it gets too congested, they just stop, and that's on the second channel as well. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I don't know who's right and wrong, Johnny, but I'm just putting that part out there that I do think it's sometimes a bit of an issue. It's a bloody frustration for me because I don't have an illegal IPA thing to get tracked to be able to watch them, so I've got to wait for the results to come up. Thankfully, they come up pretty quick, but you just got to sit there and wait for the results to be published before you can, see the outcome and watch the races.
Yeah, niggly, but yeah, on a Saturday, that's the way it is, obviously, and with races coming out of Brandwick and top level stuff out of Melbourne, and the Brisbane Carnival is about to start. It's understandable. It's just certainly love to be working around those dates rather than sort of clashing. That's my take on things.
We'll go through each of the races at Winton. Any of the ones you want to go into a little bit more of a deep dive, Johnny, please do. But race one, the Goodman Plumbing Limited Mobile Pace. Franco Sailor for Nathan Williamson. He's covering some miles, a boy. That's for sure. It was a late finish, early start for him, but he managed to make it. It was impressive enough.
Yeah, cleared out to win 4 lengths. Its form prior was pretty disappointing, to be honest, but Nathan's found the key to this horse and got into a very winnable race. So you'd expect him to get the job done there, and he did exactly that. So not sure what the future holds for this horse, but he won that well anyway.
No, race number 2, the Ream Fillies and Mares. First starter took this race out by Rock and Roll Heaven out of Deb. Oh, well, I should have read that first. But anyway, south side of Heaven for Brent McIntyre. And one Jonny Turner in the ownership. Congratulations, Johnny.
Yeah, mate, it was a hell of a surprise, I tell you. Like, she'd had some quiet trials leading into it, and she'd run well, but I didn't expect her just to come out and really put them to the sword as she did. She was pushed out down the back straight and landed 3 wide, and Johnny Cox pressed forward outside the leader, and she ran away from them in the straight. So it was a big surprise to me. Perhaps not as surprising to the team at Macleod. She's obviously done a great job with her. So yeah, really big thrill, and yeah, really stoked to take a horse to the races and get a first start result like that. And we bred her too. So
Yeah.
I've never had a lot of luck in the breeding department, to be honest with you. Like I've bred some slow ones. There's no doubt about that. But to breed a nice one like this, a heck of a thrill.
It is a unique thrill. It's one of the unique parts about our industry. I'm sure you're like the fact that we can breed them, we can train them. Some people are lucky enough to drive them. Some people are lucky enough to drive them in Group 1 winning races. It's something very unique we say about the thoroughbred guys. Most of those guys, generally, they'll just breed them and then they move them on, or they train them, they don't breed them. To be able to have the whole roller coaster, if you like, of the whole journey, Johnny, it's pretty unique, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty special. It does add an extra layer. I mean, there's certainly nothing wrong with going and buying one at the sales, weanling sales, yearling sales, but yeah, you get that special bond with them when you breed them. So Yeah, and I guess on the flip side of that, the people that do breed them and sell them at the sales, they get a huge kick out of watching them go on and win races for other people. So the breeding game's a pretty cool game. It needs all the promotion and all the help it can get to get those breeding numbers to a more sustainable level. So yeah, these sort of stories, I guess it all helps.
Yeah, it does indeed. Race number 3, the Miko Trot, Gellion's grandson, won this. One of the oldest ages in the field, a 7-year-old, beat Petite Trixton, and then in the lovely named Prohibitive Bid coming in third for Mark Jones.
Yeah, Gellion's grandson's 7 years old, but it was his first start and really showed a bit of class. Like
How much form have I done for this race?
We will forgive you that. It might have been on Sky Channel about 65 by that stage, Paul. But Gellion's grandson, he came to Phil Williamson just to get some ironing out and that sort of thing. He'd taken a bit of time, and they'd obviously persevered with him, and he's really hit his straps now because, 7-year-old, and really dealt to them. He set parked for the later part of the race and ran away, and he looks like he's got a motor there. So, yeah, there's obviously a backstory there in terms of him taking time and obviously being put aside and brought back in. And we'll certainly one to follow because he won that with a reasonable amount in hand. Petite Trixton, a horse to follow going forward. She was fresh up and ran on quite nicely. So, yeah, it looks like a decent form race.
Prohibitive Bid, the Volstead Act, which I'm presuming that's who Volstead is named after, was an act back in the day in America for about the Prohibition. That's why when I saw that name, I'm thinking, well, someone's done a little bit of research on what Volstead means and where it all come from. So that's why I don't mind the name of that horse, and he's doing an awesome job, that's for sure, Volstead.
Yeah, I did know the backstory there, and the Volsteads are doing a good job. So that's nice to see. You can't beat a nice trotter.
Nope.
Yeah.
Kirsten Green, Big Boys Toys, took out race 4.
Yeah, great drive this. I mean, she sat parked the whole trip, but I'm going to have to say great drive because from somehow she was outside the leader within, a few seconds of the race starting from drawing barrier 13, the outside the second row. So she's pushed forward. He's a huge horse. He's a really tall horse, and sitting there didn't bother him one little bit. He was happy just to roll along in his work, and when it came go time, he was too good. I tell you what, the horse to follow out of the races, 2 of them, Ryland Charlie was rough in the run home. He possibly could have won if he'd done everything perfectly. And Major Bentley was a touch unlucky as well. But Big Boys Toys, he is a big tall horse, a big boy, and he was an impressive winner. He sit parked the trip. There's no excuses for anyone else, is there?
No, there's not. I got him on screen now, Johnny, and just hung a little bit, but Kirsten just kept punching through underneath all of the horses, and she had one plan in her head anyway. So as to what to do.
Yeah, she's her stable's absolutely firing, and she must be really wrapped with the way her team's performing, and all of her supporters who are pitching in are obviously doing a great job as well.
I'm watching it here, just turning for home, Johnny. You swear he's going to get run over here. The horses 3 and 4 deep go straight past it. Well, look like they got past him. And then he fired them off.
Yeah, he really rallied. You can see him. He's a very tall horse. He's a big strong unit. But he's got a motor there. He just lunged late and got the job done.
No, he did. He did indeed. I see what you mean by the second horse going a bit rough. Sarah should have been hanging on, actually. He got really rough, didn't he, the shocker? So, but one to follow if they can iron that part out. Jacob Bayless took out race 5.
Yeah, Jacob Bayless, you'll know from your visit over here, Paul, he's from the Brett Gray stable where I do a little bit of helping out and that sort of thing, and he's one of my favourites. And I was giving him the big cheer home, the Bayless, and he got the job done. Great drive from Johnny Cox. Joy Jack is second, stable Quinella. She'll improve a lot off that run. She was first up for a very long time and ran a nice second. And Rata's the horse to really follow out of the race because she was held up for a good part of the run home, and and flashed at them late. So three nice performances, and the second and third horses definitely will win at very short notice.
Johnny Cox wouldn't have to put his hand in his pocket by the sounds of it, Johnny.
No, he's doing a super job. He's not. He's a born and bred Southlander, but we probably hadn't seen a huge amount of him down here. But he's got onto a string of horses that he's stuck with, and he's driven the last few Saturdays down here and done a super job. So, as far as I am concerned, he can keep coming back as long as he likes.
He's a good man too. Moment of time. What the Hill's had a pretty good weekend, a pretty good couple of weeks actually with the trotting ranks, really starting to hit the ground running. Craig Ferguson and Amber Hoffman combined.
Yeah, big win this. Got back, went out, sat parked at the 1,000, took over and beat a small field, but a tidy field. He was only a maiden a couple of 3 starts ago, and he's put 2 together now and bagged his 3rd win on Saturday. He's a horse going places. He really looks to have got his sort of manners and his act together, and just looks very comfortable in his gait. And that was a big win. He cleared out by 3.5 on Saturday, and yeah, you'd want to be following him. He's a nice horse.
A little bit of that seems to be a bit of the common trend with the what the Hills a bit. Once they work them out, they're away. So, which is good for my sponsors, that's for sure, and anyone that's got one as well. So, people might be starting to work these out. Neck Delight, Sarah O'Reilly and Lauren Pearson combined to take out race number 7, the Iplex Pipes on the card, Johnny.
Some of the great pipes, of course, Iplex, great sponsors of the racing scene.
Yep.
Let's go to Neck Delight. Got back to last and really didn't give her a huge. You wouldn't have huge confidence in her until about the 400. She launched up and she sustained a big run right around the field and did a great job. She's a gritty little mare, consistent mare, and she's a daughter of Neck Delight, who's a very good filly in New Zealand. She was a Southern Oaks winner. I'm not sure what else she had on her resume, but she was a good filly of her time. And Neck Delight's just an honest campaigner and deserved that win, so it was nice to see. I think Neck Delight, I could be wrong, I think she won an Oaks race at Brisbane. The Aussies may remember her. The mother that is Neck Time.
Yep.
Neck Time, sorry. Yeah, Neck Time.
That's where I was getting myself confused, but it's okay. We're easily confused on this show. Has she got much of a future, this horse?
She's handy, yeah. She's honest. She'll do a good job wherever she goes. Yeah, she might be one that pops across the ditch at some time. I'm picking.
Jenny Gump by Prodigal Sealster. I did look this horse up. It's an interestingly bred horse. The horse I don't know nothing about.
Prodigal Sealster. He stood over here and he was one of those deals where you didn't have to pay the service fee until it was the foal qualified, or I could have this way wrong, but it was definitely after they were born or something like that, and it was one of those sort of gimmicky type things they had to go with, and he left a couple of winners, but he did not put his name up in lights, Prodigal Sealster, unfortunately.
Double for Brett Gray, Nathan Williamson as well in the cart. Long day for the boy too, with always Trick and taking out the Masters Plumbers. I gather it was a plumbing day there on the card there, but this was 57.8. Identical time to the Snapshot, but there is actually a margin for these two.
He always taking back from Oaks Company. She raced in the Southern Oaks and right through the Southern Oaks heats and looked very well placed in this race. She led throughout, showed great gate speed and got the job done. Snapshot, the one to follow the race. She was a bit green in the run home, only her 3rd start, but when she straightened up, eventually she got to the line nicely. So, a couple of a nice filly and a nice mare there to follow going forward. They're handy tights, both of them. Hayley Jacker probably the one to follow as well. She was held up through much of the run home. She's a nice horse.
For Brady Gray. Brett's had one of those days by the looks. He's filled a lot of placings as well, and he fills a placing in race 9. Robbins Hustler, Ferg comes up with a double for the day. Ross and Chris Wilson, I don't know either of these two people at all, Johnny.
Great people, great supporters of harness racing. Chris, heavily involved with the Gore Club down here, has been president till very recently. And this horse is a full brother to Robin's Playboy, the open class campaigner. He hasn't hit the heights that Robin's Playboy has, Robin's Hustler, but he's got a share of his own ability, and he only seems to be getting better with more racing. He looked quite talented early on, and then his form sort of flattened out a little bit, and he is getting there. That was a big win, I thought, on Saturday, because he drew 8. He made his own luck, and he put a reasonable field away. So yeah, great to see. Yeah, great people, the Wilsons. So it was wrapped for them, Ross and Chris, and yeah, it was a good win.
They didn't have a bad day either. They had a third in the last race with Brookie's Player. They obviously like Shadow Play too. Are these horses related? No, they're not, other than being by the same sire. But they finished third to South Seas Rock and Mr. President. Tyler Dew getting another winner. Hayden Douglas bringing up his third career win as well, which is good for a young man. I got to play a bit of golf with the boy, actually. So
I tell you what, this was as exciting as it got at Winton on Saturday. This horse was out by around 10 lengths in the middle stages. Out towards the 800, he was 10 lengths in front, and it was just one of those scenarios, like what's that horse that ran with? No, Pride of Jenny, was it? It wasn't quite that as exciting, but it was sort of similar setup. You're watching him thinking, can he hang on? He latched on a bit, as you'll see there, and he was strong at the line, South Seas Rock. It was a big win.
What did he run down the back end? Did he run good time, or was it just the way, like a little bit like Pride of Jenny, just solid sectionals and just was able to continue the march?
Well, he's gone 258 for 2,400 and 159 mile rate. I reckon he's run every quarter in 29 and 30, basically. He's just kept on trucking. He hasn't got any faster, hasn't got any slower. He's just on the bridle and doing it well. It was a big win, and Tyler Dew particularly happy. He's put back wins together with this horse. And yeah, both horse and driver have actually, and trainer obviously, and he's in the form of his career. And South Seas Rock, it'll be interesting to see him going forward, because having Hayden in the bike, he's got a penalty-free win, and then he's got a half points win, so he's barely moved up the ratings. He can race these horses again pretty quickly and be hard to beat again.
He didn't really panic either. I was just watching him then. Sometimes. When we're young and driving and haven't had a lot of winners, 400 from home, he could have panicked. He didn't. He didn't panic even turning for home. He got a little bit of a spot there, but I think well done to him. Only 3 wins. That's a bit nerve-wracking when you know Kirsten Greens and Nathan Williamsons and those guys are sitting back in the field. He might be thinking, geez, I'm overdoing it. These guys are going to get over the top of me. But, it was well rated and definitely didn't panic.
Yeah, there wouldn't be many junior drivers, looking for their third win that would be in that scenario. Most would be back in the field, probably hoping to follow the right horse. And no, he did everything right there, Hayden. And he's only begun in the beginning of his career, and he's doing a great job. So good on him. And we'll be following his career going forward, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to do a lot more of this on Over the Ditch too, catching up with Johnny when we can from down south and get a little bit more insight into the participants, because there's so many great participants in the industry. We've got to get the message out there for so many more on them. Any other highlights from the Southlanders over the last weekend, Johnny, before we touch on Invercargill this week?
Just business as usual. We've got horses campaigning at Addington. Obviously, Nathan, as we've covered off, was the pick of those recently. There'll be some more there this weekend as well. So we wish them all the best. But no, business as usual, basically.
Rightio. Saturday, Invercargill. 12-16, 10-16, 10:15 for the Aussies. And I'm going to go with 9 races IR2 at 2:15 for the last. So pretty short, condensed little meeting for everyone. I suppose that's good for the participants.
Yeah, they don't complain. That's certainly the truth. We'll get through these, and some handy sort of races and some real opportunities there for horses to break through and register wins, I think.
Race 1, any highlights out of this field? This is an up to 41 rated race.
Probably not some of the greats that you ever see on a race track, but there's some good opportunities here for horses that have been knocking on the door. Arlo Maguire, Cheeky Hope. She's a Vinny, not the worst. Hit the lights into the Kirsten Green stable. Big respect there. And Connie Jacker ran a nice race in her last start. So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
The Southland Sports Bar Mobile Pace. This is an up to 38. So I suppose we've got similar sorts of horses here with exposed form, but not a lot of it.
Jenny Gump, as you saw earlier, was probably the pick of them with Sherwood Maggie, who has key gate speed. She could probably get across and lead this field. So those are probably the two key runners. Probably anything could really win that race, or has some sort of claims, but they would be the two.
The Newsfield Sports Bar Trot. There's not a lot of exposed form on a few of these horses here. Timmy Turtle. Did Timmy Turtle go pretty good first up?
He went good. That's for sure. He had a wee gallop after the start, and then won a big race for fifth. Yeah, I could give you the inside. I worked this horse this morning. Worked pretty good there, Paul. So I don't know if that'll put punters off or not, but he's probably the one to beat on his trial form.
Be
and
careful.
His last start.
Be careful. Brady might ban you from coming on my show. Going from there. Rightio, what's the backstory to Friendly Ire? Are you aware of that? He's an 8-year-old bay gelding by Monkey Bones out of Heir Apparent, who's a Christian Cullen, must have been nearly trotted horse. It's only got one older sibling that's a 13-year-old. Do you know any of the backstory to this one, Johnny, at all?
Well, he's had 42 starts as a pacer, and he's won a couple of those. He's no world beater, but he's an honest sort of type, and now he's having a go at the trotting game. He's had a couple of trials that have just been fair, but we will see what happens on Saturday.
So, Johnny, just on that, he's got no form there, so they wipe the form when they go from pacer to trotting, right?
They do over here. They wipe the form, which, there's arguments for and against that, obviously, because the fact that he won a couple of races pacing shows that he's not completely hopeless, obviously.
No. Yeah, it's anyway. What did they do with Paul Nan's horse when he was in and out of? He raced one day.
Out of my way, yeah. They'd just have the pacing form in the form line when he was pacing, obviously, and when he was trotting, they would just have the trotting form.
Wow, did not know that. We can't do that in Australia. It's an interesting thing. In Australia, you can't do what Paul was able to do, swap gates on the day. So, yeah, it's an interesting one, that. And obviously there's always those little things. I suppose it's all right for us to talk about it because we know the exposed form, but we need uninitiated people to be betting on our products. So I suppose there is that conundrum on how you do it. But, yeah, sucker punch me, that's for sure, because I thought an 8-year-old having its first start, there's got to be a story here. Anyway, that's okay. Race number 4, the Ashford Motors Motor Lodge. Ashford Motor Lodge. Oh, okay. It's a motor lodge. Right, got it. Sorted it all out. Mobile trot. Only a small field, Johnny.
Yeah, Rada, as I mentioned before, a horse to follow, big last start effort. Down back to the smaller track is the concern with that horse. She's big striding mare, and Ascot Park probably not her favourite place in the world. Another Demon from Barrier 1's probably the one to beat because she ran pretty well last start, but was even better fresh up. I'd be sticking with the camp there. She's handy enough.
You go. You're the man on this. I didn't even know we were going to be doing this, and you're just flying through these for me, which is outstanding. Homestead Restaurants Mobile Pace, 3-year-old and older, 40 to 46. So that's an interesting rating gap. Not a big gap for these. So I'd imagine these are all pretty consistent sorts of horses as well.
Yeah, Jim's like the one to beat. Second to Southside of Heaven, isn't that great form to bring to any race? So she's one of these stories too. She had her first start as an 8-year-old, and she went some awful races. But her last 3, she's really shown. She sort of picked her game up because she trialled well before her debut, and her last 3 starts she's run third, second, and she's really sort of got her act together. So. She looks the one to beat. Niggly enough draw there, Barrier number 6, but a very even field, and she'll get her chance there, you would think.
They weren't even just last, Johnny, like 10 of 12, 11 of 13, 10 of 13. Like she was running long last, wasn't she?
Yeah, Brian Norman's turned her form right around. I don't know, he might have changed her work around, or maybe given her a new outlook on life, or I don't know. He can do that. B Norman, he's got he can turn one around, just try a few different things. He knows what he's doing, and he's worked the magic there.
Non-winners, 3-year-old and older. Not a lot of exposed form to play with here. I'm tipping a horse like Foxy Easton's probably got the best form again for your man, Brian Nolan.
Yeah, he looks a serious chance. He's got gate speed. Ryland Charlie, the horse we saw before, that just went a bit rough in the home straight. Probably should have won his last start, or gone close anyway. He's probably the one to beat. Horse 1, So Do You Have Time? Third in the Kindergarten Stakes, looks pretty good form to bring to a maiden race. And yeah, Foxing Eastern. Nathan's got one in the Pacific Art. Its debut was okay. Got to the line late. So yeah, an even enough lineup, but those 4 probably stand out from the pack.
Tricky little races, those races, that's for sure. Rightio. Let's see how good you are at this race. The Ascot Park Hotel, the unbeaten south side of heaven, lines up for its second start. Did the driver get off or did you sack him?
He was committed to the Norman stable. Mattel Maria's in there. She's been going nice races. She's a genuine chance, but drawn out in barrier 7. Yeah, very even. I think Lord Ward Lamont. He's by. I think he's one of very. No, I got the wrong horse. Forget what I was about to say there. Ward Lamont down by the seaside. One of the great sides, of course, of our time.
Look at you go.
He's drawn barrier 2. He should get across the lead pretty easily. And he probably is the one to beat. On exposed form, I think you have to put in Southside of Heaven somewhere. I think there's several last start winners coming out of maiden grade, and she was probably as impressive as any of them. So as she goes in, Matera BB has gate speed. Asta, last start winner as well. Big Boys Toys, as we've already talked about. Mattel Maria looks an each way chance. So yeah, if I was playing them, Ward Lamont, probably south side of Heaven, Mattel Maria, and Bonnie's Girl, a head scratcher from the Nathan Williamson stable. She hasn't been setting the world on fire, which is unusual for Nathan's colours, but she may be able to improve off barrier 1.
She's well bred too, I think, from memory. Is she not?
She's had what's her name? Old
Not
mate,
Bonnie Joan.
Bonnie Joan.
Joan.
Yeah, she was a nice mare.
Yeah. Anyway, Nath will either turn around or not. That'll be the case. The Centre Point and Southside Liquorland Mobile Pace, race number 8 on the card. Purple seems to be the colour of this race. There's a fair bit of purple in that. Geordie goes out for Hayden Douglas and Tyler Dew. That combination saluted. Though the last race we showcased there the other day, this earlier.
Yeah, definitely be hard to beat Geordie. You got a deserve one last start, and this race doesn't look anything majorly harder. And he gets the old junior driver on, so he'll be he slots in here pretty nicely. The other horses to beat, Brookie's Player for the Wilson camp. He ran 3rd behind their other horse, South Seas Rock, last week. And Mr. President, always Mr. Consistent. He's an each way player.
Yep, and of course, Nectar Light, the horse we were speaking about there before, could run another improved race with the way its exposed form's going. The last of the race, there's no chance I can say this. Waikiwi Tavern.
Waikiwi Tavern, oh yeah, you'd go well on the Waikiwi Tavern dance floor.
Hey?
I was just saying you'd go well on the Waikiwi Tavern dance floor, I reckon, Paul.
Don't even know where it is, let alone being able to say it. 40 to 45 race again on a day where it's going to be pretty tricky punting. This race to me looks like it's another one of those types of races. Magic Sign, winner of its last 2, and Hayden Douglas takes a steer on this.
He's not the worst. He likes the track. He's up and grade a tiny bit, but he'll be well competitive. Durant, for the Aussie watchers, he's a full brother to Merlin, would you believe? He's not got Merlin's ability by any stretch, but he's handy enough, and he's an each way chance. Him Magic Sign. Robbins Hustler, who won the other day, he's into a tricky draw. And if you're looking for another option, Sporty Charlie has slots into this race. Well, he was basically on the fringes of open class. He's come a long way down in rating, and he was beaten 43 lengths in his 34 lengths in his last start, but he's just that well graded here. You'd probably have to give him some consideration,
Yeah, but
especially from drawing 3.
the reason he's back into that class is because he's been a while out of form as well. So yeah,
He has been, but I don't. He can't have forgotten completely how to do it. So
no.
chuck him in somewhere.
Just quickly, Johnny. Well, not quickly because this show doesn't have any timeline on it at all. I know Emily is astounded that Maddie and I can talk for an hour and a half. Well, when I got you on there as well, this show could go for 5 hours. It doesn't worry me one bit. But I can't find my race. Because it's not here. Yes, it is. Sorry, where is it? The 3-year-old trotters there. Princess Sadie, the 3-year-old trotting championship. Princess Sadie, she seems to have come back in a lot better form. I know she's not a true Southlander, but the Williamsons are. They're good races, these 3-year-old trot races at the minute, aren't they?
Yeah, they certainly are very competitive. It's a real clash between Paramount Kiwi, the best colt or gelding, and the best filly, Empire City. It'll be interesting to see who comes out on top there. They're probably, I don't really know how you could really split them, drawn right beside each other. Obviously, there's an advantage there to Paramount Kiwi drawing inside, perhaps. But they're two classy horses. It's going to be an absolutely ripping race. As far as Princess Sadie goes, she's been good in 2 starts back, but her last start was terribly disappointing. So she's a lot better than that. We will expect her to go a lot better this week. So keep the faith. Barrier 1 is going to be an advantage for her. So, it'll be a cracking contest, very even field. And, looking forward to this race. So we'll be tuning in for that one, no doubt. And as you did right about the Williamsons, they're definitely Southerners. We can't call them Southerners, but they're Southerners. They're from over the border in Otago. Great people, and we'll certainly be cheering very hard for them.
Nathan's a Southlander, but the rest of
He
them
is, yeah.
The rest of
He's
them
probably been here long enough that we'll definitely claim him as a Southlander, but born
Johnny,
over
you
the
guys,
bounds.
some of you Kiwis claim me from time to time, and then others are pretty quick to kick me to the touches. Yous aren't bad, you Kiwis, I must say. So going from there. Some good racing up there, though, this week. But next week's just going to be a huge meeting, the Road Cup meeting, isn't it?
It is. We'll get to see a champion, one of the greatest trotters I've laid eyes on, that's for sure. And Just Belief, can't wait to see him again. He is going to absolutely panel them, and I can't wait to watch it.
It's a big call, but I think you're right. We're talking. I had Nick Hooper, who's a trotting buff lover here in Australia. He's been on breeders' associations and things along those lines, and he knows his breeding and understands the history. And he said it's hard to say that he's the best trotter we've ever seen, but he just seems to keep ticking boxes. It's exciting, and I think people need to embrace what's actually happening right in front of our face instead of saying, maybe he was the best. I think we need to be able to sit there and celebrate him, and whatever he does, win, lose or draw, just celebrate what a brilliant trotter this horse has been for an industry that's been all over the shot, I suppose, in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I just from a personal point of view, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and many may disagree with me, but from what I've seen, and I'm not as old as everyone going around, he's number 2 from what I've seen. Just Believe. I've still got Lyle Creek as the best I've seen, but he's put himself ahead of a lot of good horses. If he's number 2, I think that's a fair comment.
Yeah, it is, and it'd be interesting. And people, like a Michael House and those guys that were around when Sundon, was at his peak and things along those lines. Very different horses, but this horse has done like what Pride of Petite's done, gone overseas, come back winning. Probably the difference between him and her, he's actually come back better horse, going overseas, having an arduous trip, and then come back and seems to be a better horse.
Yeah, I just like the fact that he's got such high speed and such a staying motor. That's what gets me. Like usually, those real star horses, they'll have one major strength, and they won't be perhaps as good on the other side. But to me, he can run exceptional quarters and seems to be able to stay all day as well. So that's just my take on it.
Fast class paces too at the minute, Johnny, albeit this race probably down on a couple, and maybe with Max Shard winning, some people say that it's probably not as good as what it it could be. But I think it's encouraging considering where New Zealand harness racing with their free-for-all ranks were a year and a half ago, probably is fair to say. There was a lot of worries about some of the horses making up the numbers, but right at the minute, the depth is outstanding in the fields, and it's terrific to see.
It certainly is. I think on their best form, this is a deep enough race. It'll be interesting to see what Speak the Truth does from the standing start. Obviously, he wouldn't have seen the tapes for quite a while. I'm picking.
He never has in Australia on his exposed form.
Okay.
So yeah,
That'll be interesting. He hasn't had a heap of luck here, but when he's in saying that, you sort of make your own luck sometimes. So he hasn't been as dominant as he was around Miracle Mile time, where he's running sensational races. So you'd like to see him go a good race. You'd like to see Don't Stop Dreaming bounce back to his best, obviously, which he's obviously well capable of. But things didn't pan out for him in the Messenger, and old Self Assured, he just continues to front up and run honest races. So this is competitive. Obviously, the Aussie interest as well with Better Eclipse, who's been running fine races as well. So not all the big guns are there, but this is going to be a cracking race. So I've got no doubt about that.
Wasn't a great week for Start Dreaming, the mother of Don't Stop Dreaming. Dreams Are Free was probably below his best. Was there any word on him, Johnny, from his run last week?
He's not 100%. I think that'll come out. He might have picked up some sort of issue there. So not for me to comment, obviously, but he wasn't 100. I can't say that much.
Yeah, no, definitely didn't look his best, and I think there was a bit more going on with Don't Stop Dreaming last week as well, and he wouldn't be in this race if he wasn't right. So it's pretty exciting. Johnny, thank you, the king of content. I'm going to get you on more often. Possibly we'll have to bypass next week because I'm going to be in New Zealand, but I'm arriving on the Tuesday, Wednesday. But we'll just see what we can do. We might be able to do a remote hookup yet anyway and discuss those races. If Southside of Heaven wins again, you never know. I might just have to make a special interview just purely on this Bonnie Wee mare.
Oh, it would be. It's a nice thought. It's a big step up in grade this week, but hopefully she runs a nice race. Looking forward to having you back over here, Paul. You'll have one eye on the Weanling sale, no doubt. It's going to be a cracker. There's some nice types there.
Oh, there is, and some of the graduates and some of the stories that come out of them, I think, are outstanding. No more, also like copy that. I think he was for $4,000. No, he was $7,000. My hard copy. Yeah, $4,000 for my hard copy. Like, just ridiculous. It was Artie by the Seaside, 900 or 1,200. Ugachaka was 900. There's just an amazing amount of riches of horses that have come out of it.
Majestuoso, I think, was a Weanling purchase out of New Zealand.
Yep, and this name that I butcher, that's My Maestro, I think it is now, that's racing in
Maestro. He wins every trotting race in Perth that goes around. He's like a money machine, that horse.
Yeah, and he wasn't a very dear horse, and he was he's 2,000 shy of $100,000. I think he's sitting on 98,000 races 1 year.
Done a huge job.
And you can buy a full sister or brother to him at the sale.
Yeah, looking forward to that, son.
Yeah, me too. There's a lot of value, a lot of fun, a lot of ifs and buts, and it's one of the cool sales to go to. But don't forget, if you go to the sale, stay for the Rowe Cup and watch what's going to be a ripping night of race. And that won't be the only races on that night either. There'll be a couple of the NZB races and a few others going on as well. So it's going to be a pretty big night. Johnny, thank you very much, mate. Really do appreciate it. You give me the time. And as I said, I want to continue to promote what happens down south because it's a beautiful part of the world. Although I'm tipping it's a little bit darker and a little bit colder than what I'm used to when I've been down there.
Yeah, winter's definitely on the way. The hands in the morning when you're outside working with horses, the fingertips can get a bit frosty there, but we won't complain. There's a lot worse things you could be doing, and there's a lot. You wouldn't want to live anywhere else if you're a Southerner, so we'll battle through and come out the other side.
Just quickly, because I'd like talking random stuff. Canterbury I don't know what day it was last week, but Cambrai sent me a screenshot of like the weather, and it was minus 9.7 at one of the weather stations, chill factor because of the frost. How cold does it get down? Do you get that down in Invercargill?
It wouldn't be -9. It gets down to 0 and things like that. And we get some good frost down here, but -9's probably not on our radar. Can get under 0, obviously, but We don't complain, that's for sure.
No, Cam was complaining that day. I can't believe it. I can't believe he was saying how cold it was.
He might have just said an off day, the great man.
He has a few of those. Mate, thank you. Really do appreciate it, Johnny and Matty Markham, of course, providing insight and time into New Zealand harness racing. We all want to make it grow, and I really do appreciate it, mate.
Right, mate. Turn it up.